Hey, this is Julian with another guitar lesson here on bar chords. And in this lesson we're going to cover what a bar chord is and just, how to play them. We're going to start with simple bar chords that are going to be just a couple of your fingers, and then we're going to move on to full bar chords where you'll actually be barring off the entire every string with one of your fingers. And so you can start practicing that. Now, if you're new to this or you're on an acoustic guitar, it's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to take some time, but once you get it down, it's going to open up worlds of possibilities for you. So if you're on electric guitar, it'll be a little bit easier. And also, we're going to go through the partial bar chords first, so you can use those until your fingers are strong enough and your hands are used to to rubbing on the strings a little bit more, and then you can start, moving on to the full bar chords. All right, so just exactly what is a bar chord and why do you need to know it? Well, in almost any rock and roll song, you're going to see bar chords, especially when you're playing something on the electric guitar, but you're going to see them on acoustics as well. Very, very often. They're very often used. And all that a bar chord is it's an easier way to move chords around up and down the fret without having to change your fingers, and for you to be able to make adjustments really quickly to different notes, okay? Because, if you're doing a really fast rock song, okay, or something that needs less noise, doing a G chord like this, that takes, not only do you have to move down there to do it, but you don't have a lot of control about how much noise is coming out of your guitar. I have to use my hand to mute it. There's a lot of different things that you need with a guitar that you don't have coming from a chord, okay? So that's why bar chords are here, and that's why we use bar chords. There's different kinds of bar chords. There's going to be partial bar chords and full bar chords. So let's move to partial bar chords first and talk about that, and then we can move on to full bar chords. So a partial bar chord is when we're just going to use 2 or 3 of our fingers to make the note, and that's all we're going to do. We're just going to use those fingers to make that note, and we're going to have complete control over the sound and everything that comes out of it. So we're talking about the G chord. Let's talk about the G chord. So when we do a G chord, it looks like this. It sounds like this. This is the G note, the root note right here. This 3rd fret on our 1st string. Now what a bar chord is going to do is it's going to take the octaves and then a note in between. Now, this is good for future information for you to know that on all the first strings, okay, the first 2 strings especially, which is what matters right now, the octave is going to be 2 frets down and 2 strings up. So for G, if I go 2 frets up and 2 strings down, there we have our octave. So that's just another G. Now a bar chord, we're also going to take this other note in between, the 5th. Okay? So we're going to take with the G, we're going to take the G. On our next string, we're going to take the 5th, right there, the 5th fret. What matters is that that's the 5th fret, and then the 5th fret again with our pinky. So those 3 notes make a G bar chord. Now the nice thing about this is I can make any note. I can go anywhere on this guitar, up and down, and make the note that the root or my 1st finger is touching. So G, A, B, C, D. So we're just sliding that exact same pattern up and down. 3, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 7, 9, 9. Now the notes you hit, that's going to make the song, right? But for now, all that matters is that that's what a bar chord is, and that's how we get the bar chord, okay? So right now, because of the notes we're playing, we haven't determined if this note is major or minor, okay? This G bar chord could be major or minor. Where that will matter is what other notes are around it, because we're only playing the root note and a fifth note. And all that means is that we don't have any notes in there to determine whether it's a major or minor. That's where the next string comes in. But let's move on to the A really quick and talk about these partial bar chords on the A, okay? On the A string. It's going to be the exact same thing, except for instead of playing it on the first string, we're playing it on the second string. So on an A bar chord, we have 0, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2. And we can move that up. So if we come here to the exact same, to the third fret, we have 3, 5, 5. But we're starting on the second string, 3, 5, 5. The 3, as you know before, as this chord, that's a C chord. We're using that root C, okay? Root just means the first note in the series. So that's a C bar chord. D, C, A, C, D, C, A, okay? Wherever we go on this is the note we're hitting. That's an E. Once again, just because of the notes we're hitting, we're not making this major or minor. It will be major or minor depending on what notes I'm playing around it, how I'm singing it, what other notes I'm using with it. But that does not determine it just by the notes I'm playing, okay? And normally you're probably saying, why does that matter? Well, this is why it matters. Let's get into it. Okay, so right before I jump into it, let's just move back and forth. So C, G, C, G. And practice that a little bit. Practice moving the bar chord not only up and down the string, but moving between the first and second string. Now, before we were just taking 3 notes. We're looking at the E, the root of the E, as our pattern. So let's go now further, one step further with this. Let's talk about major. Major chords, if we originate from this E major, we're going to go E major. So what happens if we take that major and we slide it up? All we're doing is, instead of starting on the open notes, on the open E, and we put that on the G, let's say, on the 3. So now we have this E chord on the 3. 3, 5, 5, 4. Now you have a major bar chord G. Now, the next step with this, and you don't have to do this right now though, but the next step is to lay your entire finger over the top of those notes, over the top of all of the strings, like this. What we're essentially doing is making it so that the bottom of every string, the bottom note on every string, is where our finger is. Okay? The reason I'm doing that is because now when I do the G with the same pattern from E but up here higher, and I bar off, hence bar chords, I bar off the entire all of the notes, every single note. Now I'm getting a G chord through all the notes. Okay, I can move that up to A, B, C, G, E minor, or E major, excuse me. These are all major. Okay, so there you go. So that's why bar chords are so important, okay? Because not only can we get this partial bar chord, but we can get the whole chord if we want. If we want every string to ring out, we can move that wherever we want. Now, let's move to the A, because this plays on both the E string and the A string. So an A major is going to give us a different pattern for our fingers though. A major. Okay? If we move that to a C, now what do we have to do? And this is where it can get difficult for some people if you can't get your fingers to do what you want them to do. Okay? Sure, you can put all 3 fingers right there on those strings, okay? And move that up. So I'm playing 1, 3, 5, 5, 5, 3. So I'm taking that same A chord. But what I do, and what's a lot easier for other people, is they're going to take their finger, okay, and they're going to push it down flat like this, okay, over the top of those 3 strings. So now I have my first string laying over the entirety of that third fret, okay, all the third fret on every string, and then I take my finger and I smash that over the 3rd, 4th, and 5th strings. And I can move that around. So that might take you a little work, a little practice. You might have to get used to your finger not only smashing against the strings and getting the strength to do that, but also, you know, when you start doing these bar chords, now not only do your fingertips hurt, but your fingers hurt. The sides of them and the front of your other fingers will hurt. So you kind of got to get used to it. Might take a little bit of time, but it's important for you to know this, because once you can learn this, you're on the track to knowing everything. Okay, so that's major. So we've gone through major chords on the E and on the A string. You'll recognize songs from that. Actually, it starts on the A if you're looking for... So there's a lot of songs that are, going to incorporate these, and it's important to know them. But now the exact same thing applies with the minor E and the minor A. And so let's go through that right now. Minor E, instead of having our finger here on the 4th string, that's an open note. That's minor. Major, that's minor. So the minor chord then, we're going to do that same bar chord, but now we're not going to use that 2nd finger. We're just going to use our 3 fingers like we did with the bar chord here, but now when we lay it across, you can see how now it's a minor chord. It's a minor sounding chord because we have that minor note in there, which is our 4th string. Okay, major, add that finger. Minor, drop it. Same thing applies for the A. Our A was these 3 notes. Okay. We're going to minor, do an A minor. And now we can slide that around. And you'll notice that's the exact same pattern as the E major was, but now we're just a string down. And that is a full bar chord. That's the bar chord when we're gonna bar every single note. We're gonna play all the notes that are necessary.